paranormal peeps, it's me, Paranormal Girl, and I guess you could call today's video a bit of a story time because I'm going to be showing you pictures and talking about what happened when I visited Gettysburg. There's no video footage of when I was there, but regardless, there still are some great stories. So I'm doing a couple of things differently for this video. A, it's like a story time. B, it's actually scripted, though I'm going to be adding my unscripted 2 cents, which is also why I'm not looking at the camera like I'm supposed to. I'm looking off to the side, not even at the viewfinder, I'm looking at a script, because there's a lot of points I want to hit, and I think it will help me with rambling like I normally do in videos. It'll help maybe keep it a bit more concise. And yes, I've done scripted videos like this before, but never like this. And I guess you could call this the second video of National Alien So Super Awesome Club, or however it goes, if any of you actually remember that video from, I think it was 2 years ago now. That was fun to do. I'm not gonna put on the glasses. And before I get into the backstory of Gettysburg, this is a green screen video, hopefully, which I haven't done in a while. If you've been paying attention to my videos, I've really just been using my background with like the tinsel. It has like the lights around it. I really like it, and it's not as hard to set up as a green screen. This took 15 minutes at least to set up, but I decided to go full out for a actual paranormal video, and yes, I totally thought through wearing a green sweatshirt while doing a green screen video, including green earrings. The reason why I did that is because this is an actual Gettysburg sweatshirt that I got while I was there, so I felt it would be appropriate to wear it. And I wore earrings to match it, and maybe I'll have floating hands. That'd be fun. And I am actually sitting in a green chair. I have no clue if that's going to be green screen out too, because my green screen is also a different shade of green, but this is probably all pixely. I apologize, but it's a decision I consciously made. I have no clue how it's going to look. So, now for some backstory for some of you who know nothing or very little about Gettysburg, the battle that happened there, and the American Civil War. Also credits to Wikipedia. So first, the American Civil War took place from April 1861 to May 1865, around 4 years. Over the course of the war, there were about 1 million casualties. This is a battle between the Confederacy and the Union, also known as the North and the South. There are many terms for each side of the war, but I will be referring to them as the Union and the Confederacy. The war broke out due to controversy over slavery, but that's not the only reason why people fought for the Confederacy or the Union. What started the war was when Confederates attacked Fort Sumter. The Battle of Gettysburg took place over the course of 3 days, from July 1st, 1863 to July 3rd, 1863. In result, there were around 51,000 deaths, which only one being a civilian during the battle. The Battle of Gettysburg resulted in a Union victory, and after it, the Confederacy was never as great as it was before. Also, it was the bloodiest battle in US history to date. Now, there's so much more I could go into, but for anything that elaborates a story, I'm going to go into while explaining later. There's so much interesting information about the American Civil War. I definitely would recommend reading up on it if you truly want to understand everything that happened and the entire course of the 4 years, roughly, that it took place, and its aftermath and how it still affects the country today. So first I'm going to be telling 2 stories of what happened in Gettysburg, actually not in the time where these other stories took place, because I've gone to Gettysburg twice. So the first time wasn't actually paranormal, but it's great enough of a story to tell. So when I was in Gettysburg 2 years ago, I toured the Jenny Wade house, which is where Jenny Wade was shot, making her the only civilian killed during the battle. Though she wasn't the only civilian killed as a result of the battle, many people died in its aftermath. Something that almost everyone will tell you is that it actually wasn't her house, it was her sister's. She was visiting. Her house was a couple of blocks away. So when I was touring it, it was a ghost tour. So it was after midnight. When we were inside, the tour guide was telling the tour group of a story when all of a sudden we hear screams. Bloody murder screams. We all jump and look to where we heard the screams to see multiple girls running outside of the window. It turns out my cousin happened to have looked out the window as these girls were passing by and scared the living daylights out of them. The entire group got quite a kick out of it once we all realized what was going on. Another time when we were on another ghost tour, we were going by part of the cemetery. There's like a monument or whatever. I couldn't remember the name of it, so I had no way of like looking it up to tell you. There are pictures, which will be popping up really soon, that you'll be able to see where it was, and if you know a lot about Gettysburg, you might even know what it is, but I can't remember its name, which is so helpful because there's a lot more to this place than what I've just told us. So our tour guide told us that people with nice cameras will have them stop working and not take pictures. So guess what happened to Miss Fancy Cameras over here? My camera decides, no, you're not allowed to take any photos. That's a no-no. Or I guess more likely the spirits were saying no. Well, eventually my camera started to take pictures, and eventually I got this. Yep, let's just say I freaked out. If you don't know what this is, that's an orb. An orb is something associated with the paranormal. It normally signifies spirits or other paranormal things. I was supposed to send this photo to our tour guide, but I never did, and I kind of still feel really bad about it, because he was like, oh, send it to me, that's really cool, you got an orb. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely will when I get home, because obviously I can't do it while I'm there. And, I forgot. Sorry. Okay, now for the more relevant stuff. First, I'm going to talk a bit more about the monument that I can't remember the name of, conveniently. So what happened was we went on a ghost tour, and this time nothing much happened. So we were on our way back, and I wanted to go back there, because it was like, I got an orb picture last time. I want to go again and see. So we go there, and I'm taking pictures, and you always want to double tap. Take one photo and then another photo right after it, just so you can make sure that what you're seeing isn't a reflection of a person walking by or really anything else, because normally if it's something paranormal, it's going to show up in one photo and odds are not the next. So that's what I was doing with all of my photos. Some I didn't see until we went back to the hotel. So here's the first one I saw. Now I'm going to show you the second photo first. So, first photo, second photo, first photo, second photo. Do you see it? Allow me to zoom in for you. That's what I noticed first. Now for the next photo. Second photo, first photo, second photo, first photo. Do you see them all? They're kind of everywhere. Some people only notice one at first, but if you look at it longer, you'll see a lot more. Next photo, second, first, second, first. I'll zoom in, just in case for some reason you can't see it. And no, it's not the moon. It was cloudy that night, and I actually had no clue where the moon was. And also, if it was the moon, you would actually see it in a lot of the other photos, which it's in none of them. So this photo I took with some of the people that I had gone to Gettysburg with. Now look at that sweatshirt. Second, first, enhance. Now do you see it? And this next photo is actually the one that I took first, but I didn't notice what was in it until I got back to the hotel and further inspected it. First, second. Now, you probably didn't see that because I didn't see it at first either. Allow me to zoom in for you to see it. I know I had to on my camera because it was really faint, but it isn't in the second photo, so it's something. Now for day 2. We were on a ghost tour. We're standing outside a building. I don't remember which one. There was a lot of buildings that we were standing outside of because you don't go inside of buildings. When all of a sudden we hear Rona yelled at us. Let's just say my cousin's friend was clinging to me. It startled all of us, to say the least. Later on the same tour, we were walking and we're smelling cigars, but don't see any signs of people smoking them. And not long later, we're smelling what smells like sewage. At the time of the battle, Gettysburg was a small town that was put well past capacity during and after the battle. Apparently, it did earn itself a smell. And we're about to turn the corner to walk by the Gettysburg School. As soon as we do, the temperature drops about 20 degrees. We continue down the street and then turn back onto the more main road, and it goes right back up 20 degrees. Odd. And lastly, we're walking back to the hotel when all of a sudden my cousin's friend starts freaking out, saying that it felt like her hair on her legs was being brushed and standing up. But she said she had shaved, so she doesn't have any leg hair to stand up. And also she was talking about getting weird chills up and down her legs, and my cousin actually told me that she felt her friend's legs and her legs were feeling colder. And she really was freaking out, like she nearly started crying. She was quite shook up after that. It's really funny because she was talking about how the ghost tours aren't scary, which isn't necessarily their point. Their point is to tell you about ghost stuff that happens there and point things out to you that you can maybe see ghosts with and give you the possibility to see them. The ghost tours that we went on, their goal is not necessarily to scare the living daylights out of you. They might tell you scary stories and give it in a cinematic way that can make it seem scary. And the ones that we went on were not necessarily the goal of, okay, let's scare the living daylights out of them. Have I gone on a tour like that? Yes, I have. Well, I don't know if their goal was necessarily to scare you, but I think putting you in a dark basement for the entire half of the tour and making you sit in the dark while talking to you and just pausing at random times and like slamming on stuff when they're telling stories, but you can't see if they're about to slam on stuff, so you jump a lot. Yeah, I think those ones are more meant to be scary. And she also talked about how ghosts aren't real and blah blah blah. And this happens to her. I think someone was trying to tell her to not talk trash. Oh yeah, and there's a picture with an orb in it. Someone thought it might have been a flash, but I don't think it was. Oh yeah, photo 1, photo 2, photo 1, photo 2. You see it? I also like the fact that the car is just me. So these are the final stories, and these revolve around our hotel room. So the microwave in our hotel was odd, to say the least. So the first night, I had a lot of trouble sleeping. Odds are because the room was quite hot. When a room gets too hot when I'm trying to sleep, I struggle. So whenever I'd open my eyes, I'd look at the clock in the microwave, and it would be right, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:24, whatever. Well, sometime in the early morning, I woke up and I looked at the clock and I saw that it was 11 o'clock on the dot. Now, I panicked. We have stuff that we gotta do. Breakfast ended at 10. There's stuff, we wanted to go swimming, we wanted to go to the shops, there was stuff that we wanted to do, and I was the first person awake that I saw. But I decided to look at the time on my phone. And it's not 11 o'clock on the dot. So that was weird. Oh yeah, and it wasn't even close to being 11 o'clock. It's not like, oh, it's like 10:54 or whatever, it's 6 minutes ahead. No, it's more like it's like 5:40 in the morning or whatever. I don't remember what time it was, but it was early enough in the morning where it's like, okay, it's not just a couple of minutes off. It's not even an hour off. Because I ended up waking up at like 8:30 in the morning that day. And when I woke up later at 8:30, around 8:30, it was the right time. So that was really weird, and my cousin ended up telling me that she also woke up to see that the time was wrong all of a sudden after seeing it being correct. So that was definitely weird about how the microwave was wrong and then right after that, and after that we never saw it having the wrong time again. So that was really weird. So the next story is either my brain wanted to be special, I don't know how you'd want to put it, or I saw something. So we're getting close to leaving. I see like little dust or something falling from the roof, so I decided to look up to see if it was like boring bees or something. I look up, but on the path to look up, there just so happens to be an open door. Said door leads into the laundry area. When I looked up, I thought I saw someone standing in the room wearing a brimmed hat. When I looked back down, nothing. Now, like I said, I could have been seeing things. But also, this is what hats looked like during the Civil War. Well, what the soldiers wore during the Civil War. See the fact that there's a brim? Oh yeah, and the only person I saw in the laundry room was on like the other side. So how it worked was like, right ahead of me is the doorways. I'm looking up to see if there's boring bees. So I'm looking up, it's like there's a person there, I look back down, there's no one there. Well, there's a second door to the laundry room that was also open, because it's like, it's weird how the rooms work, but like the other part of it had like all the washing machines. The only person in there that I look is like an older lady with like short blonde hair, and she's in that room all the way to like the left by like the washing machine. She's like all the way over there, and the room that I looked into was not dark, but it didn't have a light on, and it had like a door connecting the two, and in there they kept like towels or whatever. For someone to have gone from there either out and disappeared before I could see them, or for them, because I also looked in the other, I didn't like walk into, but I like looked in the other like laundry room, like around, which is how I saw the other lady, to see if they had walked through while I wasn't paying attention. But that's not what happened. There was nobody there. And like I said, I could have easily have just been seeing things, because people have done it before where you like look real quick and like you think you see a person or you saw a person, whatever. You never know, like it's happened. Where it's like, oh, there's a person sitting there, but there's not even a chair or whatever. But at the same time, I've heard ghost stories about that hotel because it's built on a battleground. So it's not impossible for us to see ghosts. Oh, and I don't know if this was paranormal or not. I really don't think it is, but I had a watch that the strap was kind of already breaking, and I didn't know how long it would last until it breaks. Well, it just so happens to be the second night that we were there. The night that like my cousin's friend had like freaked out. We actually just switched beds because she was so scared. So it's the middle of the night and I slept well that night, but I'd woken up because I was thirsty. So I'm gonna grab like a drink, but I'm like turning over and I have to bring my hand up and over my face, and I'm wearing a watch on this wrist. And guess what happens to fall onto my face? My watch, which is now finally broken. It happens to break while I'm on a trip to somewhere haunted, which is just weird. It also hit my face so hard that I was expecting to wake up the next morning and have a bruise on my cheek, because it like hit me around like here. So I was expecting to wake up and just see, like, I looked in the mirror and I was expecting to see like a little bruise because it hurt when it hit me. And I know it was my watch. I picked it up and set it on the table, woke up the next morning, looked at it, saw it. Yep, it broke last night. I also scared the living daylights out of my uncle because I went to get a drink out of like a hydro flask that I was borrowing. I don't own a hydro flask, but it was full of ice. And I moved it so it makes all this ice noise. He thought glass was breaking, and you can imagine he got up with a start to see who was trying to break into our hotel room. That was fun. So that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed hearing all those stories and seeing some pictures, and maybe you even learned something new. If you have any thoughts about the stories, feel free to comment them down below, or if you have more video ideas, send them right down there too. Now if you want to see more content like this, slap that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, it'd be swell, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye! Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Okay, this is really hot. Let's get out of it.